The RTX 3080 launched yesterday. Well, technically it launches and is available for sale today. Reviews went up yesterday on the 16th. Today is the 17th, and you theoretically can buy them if they're available still. But along with these Founders Edition cards directly from NVIDIA that a lot of people reviewed yesterday, there are third-party add-in board variants from third-party manufacturers like Zotac, MSI, Gigabyte, ASUS, and today we can actually review those. So hot on the heels of all the work done to review the Founders Edition card, you're probably now thinking, hey Paul, you probably have full reviews and benchmarks and testing of all these add-in board partner cards as well, right? No.
Excellent!
The XPG Xenia gaming laptop from ADATA is built for gaming with an Intel Core i7-9750H processor, 32 gigabytes of XPG DDR4 memory, and ultra-fast XPG SX8200 Pro NVMe SSD, and either an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2070 Max-Q or a GTX 1660 Ti GPU. Additional features include a mechanical keyboard with optical actuation and per-key RGB illumination, a lightweight magnesium alloy body, a 15.6-inch IPS display with a 144Hz refresh rate, Thunderbolt 3, Wi-Fi 6, and up to 10 hours of battery life. Click the sponsor link in the description for more. So as excited as I am about all of these new launches, NVIDIA's stuff that they are launching this month, and then they've got a RTX 3070 launching in October. AMD is already promising October launches, CPUs at the beginning of the month, GPUs towards the end of the month with the big Navi launch. There's so much to talk about, discuss, and make videos about, but the fact is, I really wish all of this had kicked off maybe 2 weeks later, and that's just for me personally. The fact is, I have a full-time job here with my YouTube channel. My wife has a full-time job that she kicks ass at, and she's responsible for people and stuff. And we have a 1.5-year-old daughter, who in and of herself is another full-time job. We are making some changes to how we handle all of these full-time jobs with 2 people. We are bringing in more help essentially, but we're still a week or 2 off from that. So I am still really limited on time, and it was a really big push just to get that review out for the RTX 3080 Founders Edition. So check that video out if you want some raw performance numbers, and I will be doing further testing of these cards. But for today, I'm just going to be doing an unboxing, a closer look. We'll talk about pricing. I'll plug in each card and give you guys a look at the lighting. And I'm going to do this in the order they were received, starting with Zotac. So one thing I am very curious about, and you guys probably know more about this than I do at this point because you're watching this tomorrow on the 17th, is how many of these cards are actually going to be available at launch. There is the Founders Edition, of course, directly from NVIDIA, and then there are all of these third-party add-in board partner cards, but I have been hearing from a few people, including ASUS, that not all of the models that they are designing for the RTX 3080, at least for now, are going to be available at launch. Some are being pushed to later in September, and some are going to be available in October. So I'll keep an eye on that myself, and we'll surely discuss it on the live show this week and stuff like that. But for now, I have not even opened these boxes or anything. You guys are getting really the first look along with me for all of this. But this is the Zotac RTX 3080 Trinity. And that is a super shiny box, Zotac, very reflective. I actually kind of like the design. I mean, it's flashy and all. Not too bad. I mean, if you're spending $700 on a graphics card, then you know, you might as well get some flashy packaging. According to Zotac, this should be available for sale today. It's selling for an MSRP of $719.99, so $720, $20 over what you're getting for the Founders Edition. It is an OC model, and they're going to have a non-OC model that's available for a flat $700. But at launch, this will also have a $20 instant discount that will bring the price down to $700, or the same as the RTX Founders Edition. Keep in mind with these cards, there's going to be a lot that's the same between all of them. They're using the same GPU. They're all going to have 10 gigabytes of GDDR6X memory. It's the design of the card, the PCB, and the cooling itself that is going to differentiate these cards between each other. And then you're probably going to have something like a overclocking utility for each vendor. So Firestorm is what Zotac calls theirs. And they have Spectra 2.0, which is their lighting system if you're interested in RGB LEDs, because who isn't these days? And it looks like Ice Storm 2.0 is what they are calling their cooler. Oh, and look, I was right about all those things. Firestorm is their GPU tuning and monitoring utility. Spectra 2.0 is their RGB lighting. Freeze just means the fans are going to stop when the GPU is idle. That's pretty standard these days. And Ice Storm 2.0 is what they're calling their advanced GPU cooling. Inside the outer sleeve, we have an inner box with some additional Zotac Gaming logos on it. I guess I should say logo, the singular. Get amplified for their product packaging, warranty manual, marketing materials. Why? Why are these even here? That's silly. I can tell it's gonna get crowded back here behind me today, but here is the card itself. And oh my goodness, that's a big card. That's a big GPU right there. So the first things I'm noticing here are, it's a big boy, triple slot card, and that is pretty standard for a lot of these RTX 3080s we're seeing, and particularly the 3090, which is expected to launch next week, but it looks like we are gonna have some lighting on the side. We've got two 8-pin power connectors, and that is going to be one of the potential benefits, I don't know, it depends how you look at it, for these cards compared to the Founders Edition. Because the Founders Edition has this specialty 12-pin connector that they designed to make special and different, and then they stuck it in like the worst possible place on the card, I feel like, where you can put it. And then it's got this little dongle adapter that sticks off of it with these two prongs, and it's in a really poor location. It doesn't look that great. It blocks the logo. And because I don't like it, I've just left it plugged in like that. So it can be a constant reminder that as happy as I am with the overall design that NVIDIA did with their Founders Edition card, I just feel like that power plug is kind of stupid. So obviously the performance difference between these might be a bigger factor for you than where the power plugs in. And this card does look like it should have some pretty substantial cooling chops, because we do have a triple fan design here across the top. It's got massive stacks of aluminum fins there in the middle with heat pipes coming up and protruding in across all of them. And it's even gone with sort of a continuation of that Founders Edition theme of having a flow-through area. Since the PCB ends right about here, the back plate extends a bit further, but there is a place there for the air to flow through. So this third fan here is getting possibly some additional help with the cooling, because it's able to blow the air directly through the card rather than being blocked by the PCB. Please ignore this pink sticker. Whenever Zotac sends out samples, they put a not for resale sticker on it that is pink. It stands out, and I often pull that off if I actually install it in a system. I do believe our Zotac Gaming logo here on the back lights up as well, but we'll check that out when I plug it in a few minutes. I'm gonna do that at the end so I can plug them all in back to back to back. Okay, that pink sticker was bothering me, so I pulled it off. All right, other than that, I'd say it's a pretty good looking card overall. Looks like it's here to play games and get down to business. Metal back plate across the back, and I believe the rear I/O on all these cards is gonna be pretty much the same, which is 3 DisplayPort 1.4As and that HDMI 2.1, which is a nice upgrade in many ways over HDMI 2.0 and older, especially if you're going for like a nice 4K 120 Hertz HDR capable TV. But anyway, guys, there is our first look at my first third-party add-in board manufacturer card, RTX 3080, and the Zotac Trinity Gaming RTX 3080. And I don't know if they're gonna keep the theme going and make like a Neo and a Morpheus model. Probably Trinity just refers to the fact that it's a triple fan design. Next to arrive was our ASUS card, and this is a TUF Gaming series GPU. TUF Gaming has been an ASUS sub-brand for their motherboards and stuff for quite some time. More recently, I think TUF for ASUS means not as nice or as expensive as ROG. And that's fine with me. And like I mentioned, ASUS has already informed me that their ROG cards are not going to be available right at launch. They're going to have this TUF Gaming card, and in fact, not even this TUF Gaming card specifically. There is a TUF Gaming OC. This is the OC edition that they sent over for me, and they're going to have a non-OC edition as well. The non-OC edition should be available right now today. They said at Micro Center, Amazon, and Newegg. This OC model you're going to need to wait a week for. That should be available on September 24th. The OC model will carry a $30 price premium, so this is going to be $730 MSRP. The non-OC TUF model will be a flat $700, same price as the Founders Edition. Still a lot of questions concerning how NVIDIA is handling binning of chips and whether they are saving the better bin chips for their Founders Edition or whether they are distributing those to third-party manufacturers or not. This is why further testing is required, and also why I decided I do not have time to do the level of testing that I feel like would be necessary to give a direct comparison, and that's why we're going with the unboxing today. But $830 for the ROG Strix RTX 3080 non-OC, $850 for the ASUS ROG Strix 3080 OC edition, and estimated at the end of September or early October for those models. Oh wait, I forgot to look at the box. Here's the box. Picture of the card, it's the OC edition, ASUS Aura Sync for RGB control. We have a max contact heat spreader for efficiently transferring heat into a new 2.7 slot heatsink. I like that they're going with it's not 3 slot, it's 2.7 slot. So if you have like a 0.3 slot add-in card, you could still drop it in there if it was narrow enough. All aluminum shroud though, dual ball bearing fans for the fans, and then of course you get access to the ASUS software suite or a sync for RGB. ASUS also has an overclocking utility called GPU Tweak 2. Here comes the card though, and pretty standard ASUS packaging. I've seen a similar design to this before. Honestly, it's just cardboard and foam. Who cares about the packaging? Let's look at the card. What's the deal, ASUS? Where's my janky looking PCI Express adapters, like the 6-pin to 8-pin, like Zotac had in there? Actually, I'm kind of glad that you didn't include those. It's something that I don't think anyone should really use, because your power supply should just have those. And instead, you get some documentation here and a certificate of reliability for the TUF Gaming components, and like a trading card, TUF Gaming trading card with like stats for overclocking and heat dissipation. I feel like you should be able to use this in Magic the Gathering or something like that. That's kind of different. On to the card itself though. I'm sensing a theme starting to develop here with these RTX 3080s. Big cards, extended space here at the end for blow through for the fin array, a PCB that extends to here, but not necessarily out to here. 2+ slots for the cooling, 2.7 in this case, but you might as well just call it a 3-slot cooler. And again, an array of heat pipes in there going over the GPU that extend out into this fin stack over here, which is probably going to provide the most effective cooling because it has that pass-through area over to the gap at the back. Here's something a little different though. ASUS has done a little bit of extra for the I/O back here, and they've given you an additional HDMI output. Again, that's convenient because the HDMI 2.1 spec is going to be very convenient. To be fair, DisplayPort 1.4a can also handle the same resolution as HDMI 2.1. You're just going to have wider, more compatibility, especially with televisions, which are becoming very useful crossover gaming tools, whether you want a smaller size television like in the 40 to 50 inch range that you're actually still going to put on a desktop, or if you're going to use a card like this in like a high power gaming HTPC and you want to plug it into something in your living room. So now we can give the card a nice little flippy poo and take a look from all sides. Looks like there's some tire tracks on the back. This card was run over at some point, but just an accent for the back plate on there. I don't mind it too much. Very big and loud GeForce RTX and TUF Gaming logoing on there. And you might notice here, you also got a switch here for the performance mode and quiet mode. So it's a dual BIOS configuration with a physical switch on the board to switch between those. So that's a nice little bonus. Again, beefy cooler, plenty of aluminum fins in there for heat dissipation. I'm going to quickly say what ASUS thinks is good about this card. So the fans are Axial Tech fans, and they've upgraded them from their recent fans. They're a new high-octane design. That sounds like marketing speak to me, but they are dual ball bearing fans, which are good for performance. Oh, here, this is actually something that's useful. The fans spin in opposite directions. So the one in the middle turns it a different direction than the ones on the outside, which reduces turbulence with the fan stop mode that kicks in when the GPU temperatures fall below 55 degrees. Here's a closer look at that max contact cooler with a copper ball hanging above it for reasons I can't quite decipher, but okay. 2.7 slot design. TUF components for the power delivery, which apparently are subjected to a 144-hour validation trial, and then a fresh shroud, which does appear to have a bit of RGB accents on the edge of it. And so there it is. A look at the second third-party design RTX 3080 that I've seen, the ASUS GeForce RTX TUF Gaming. Here's our third card from Gigabyte. And I always think it's funny the state that I receive certain samples in. Sometimes they have packaging directly from the manufacturer, and it looks, like there's a little bit of polish there. And sometimes you get a box that says box full. And obviously they just had this box over at Gigabyte and they wanted to reuse it. This is the Gigabyte Gaming OC variant of the RTX 3080. It appears to be part of the WindForce family when it comes to the cooler. This is the OC edition yet again, and has a 4-year warranty. It looks like Gigabyte is also using the function of having 3 fans that are slightly different, and the center fan spinning looks like clockwise versus the outer fans, which are spinning counterclockwise. They say that's good for efficient heat dissipation, and I was wondering if the Zotac card did that as well. Here's what Zotac has on their page for it. Their fans can spin at different speeds, and you can control them actively. Active fan control, so you can have one fan spinning at a lower RPM and others spinning higher. Beyond that, we got a pure copper contact plate Screen cooling, again, same design with the extended cooler that allows air to pass through. RGB Fusion 2.0 for the control over the RGB. And a metal backplate, which appears to have a notch for an SLI bridge, an NVLink SLI bridge. Now, to be clear, the RTX 3080s are not compatible with SLI. They are only enabling that for the RTX 3090 this generation. However, I am told that the 3090 and 3080 reference PCBs are actually the same design, so it's possible that Gigabyte is reusing that design for their 3080, and so it's still gonna have the cutout look like the 3090 will look like. And if that's true, then it would mean that what you're looking at here with this card is probably going to be pretty much the same as what the RTX 3090 variant of this card from Gigabyte will look like. Let's get this big boy out of the bag. Again, just a beefy, monstrous card. Again, there's that cutout that I was talking about here. So clearly you can see with the PCB on this side, there is no NVLink bridge right there, but there is the space for it. Now I've used the NVLink bridge with the 20 series a few times, and there's sort of a spec standard for it because you've got these cards that are getting to be very tall, not just wide as in going up to 3-slot designs, but also tall. But if you have multiple cards installed next to each other, they need to have the same plane here in order to plug in that NVLink bridge. So that's why that standard is there. That said, in a card that doesn't have it, I don't know, it looks just slightly awkward to me to have that little notch seemingly cut out right there. The flip side though, I guess might be like, well, if they're validating this cooling solution to also be functional for an RTX 3090, then maybe it will be a very good cooling solution. And you can definitely see the array of copper heat pipes down there. And again, a similar cooling design, the direct contact copper heat pipes over the GPU, and then extending out some into this array of fins and some out here into this array of fins. And then again, the cutout in the metal backplate there to allow for airflow directly through from the section of the cooling solution that's cooled by this third fan. You can tell from the angle of the fan blades that they are designed to spin in opposite directions, so we'll see that in a minute when we plug it in. And it looks like Gigabyte has also decided that you deserve an extra HDMI 2.1 output because they have added another one. That does cost money, by the way. You got to pay licensing for each of the ports that you add, so that was their choice to spend a little bit of extra money building the card to give you that added feature. Maybe you'll find useful, or maybe not, depends on how many HDMI 2.1 outputs you need. Anyway though, there's a look at your back plate. Again, nice metal back plate. This one has a bit more of a silvery gunmetal finish, I guess. Again, loud and proud GeForce RTX and Gigabyte logo right there in the middle. And again, presumably a bit of light up area down here. All right, I got the Zotac Gaming Trinity installed, and there's a look at the RGB lighting on the side. It says Zotac Gaming. Pretty wide area that's actually lit up there. And then if you go around to the back, you can see the Zotac Gaming logo. It's upside down from this angle, but that also lights up a little bit more subtly on the back plate. And those are both fairly bright. I'd say the side one here is actually probably the most bright. And as you can maybe also see, with the card plugged in, the fans do not spin because all of these cards have 0 fan mode or fan stop mode, some variety of that. And so if the card's not hot, the fans won't spin. That's how it should work, because why spin the fans if the card's not hot? So obviously this isn't in a pretty completely built system or anything like that, but just wanted to plug the card in really quick and show you guys how it looks all lit up. Let's check out the ASUS card next. So here is our ASUS TUF Gaming GeForce RTX 3080, and as you can see, once again, fan stop mode. They actually did spin up right when the card was first powered on, but then they stopped. So pretty normal for them to spin a little bit right at the beginning and then for them to stop. Here's the RGB accent for this card on the TUF Gaming logo right on the side. So in a very visible spot, I think, in most cases, in most systems, but also a fairly small RGB accent. So maybe that's to be preferred for some people who don't want to go like crazy RGB, but they just want a little bit on there. Here's a look at the back of the card. Again, just plugged in, not too much different to see from back here, but I guess it is getting some reflections off of our Trident Z Royal RGB memory. Here it is from this angle, and yes, yet again, I wish I had like a full day to do some testing on these to get something in time for launch, but I have a very limited amount of time today to get this done, and then I've got other stuff that I need to handle in the next day or two, so we're gonna need to leave it to this for now. But it does seem like for a lot of the third-party models, there are forthcoming models that are gonna be like the higher end ones for some of the manufacturers. But since I do have these cards and they're plugged in now and everything, I'm gonna start doing some light testing on them to hopefully get something going in the next week or two. And here's our Gigabyte Gaming OC card installed, plugged in. Yet again, fans spun up at first, but then they quickly stopped because there's no load on the card, so the fans don't spin. So there's the fans not spinning. There, once again, is our RGB accent with the Gigabyte logo and a little strip of RGB on the side. Similar kind of layout, I'd say, to the ASUS card. It's definitely there and it stands out because it's RGB lighting, but again, it's not like there's just RGB plastered everywhere. Here's a backplate, no RGB or lighting here. The lighting that you're seeing yet again is just a reflection from my Trident Z Royal RGB memory. There again is that little notch cut out, just sort of seeing it relative to like your PCI Express expansion slots there. I did want to point out with this Gigabyte card though that there's also a BIOS, a dual BIOS switch. You have an OC mode and a silent mode physical switch on the card, so that's cool. And that feature lines up competitively with the ASUS TUF card. It is something that the Zotac card doesn't have, although the Zotac card does have, you know, RGB on the backplate, so you got to give it credit there. I also noticed that the power connectors here for the Gigabyte card they have kind of this block going around the plugs themselves, which I don't know, I just thought I'd point out it's a little bit different when it comes to the design of that. You can sort of see the outside of it right there, but it actually seems like sometimes you got to press these, you got to plug these in with a good deal of force, and it does seem like it's providing a little bit more structure surrounding them, so that might be good for long-term durability, especially if this is a card that was going to be used for like a lot of testing or something, and those plugs are going to be unplugged and replugged a lot. Not a concern for a lot of people who are just going to get the card and install it once, but something I wanted to point out. And I would say another nice looking card overall, again, just depending on whether or not you're into that cutout right there. Speaking of cutouts like that though, and reference designs for graphics cards PCBs. And the PCB, if you're not familiar, is the actual printed circuit board, this part here, that everything's attached to, and that's where the GPU is stuck on and all the memory modules and everything. And all this big beefy part you see, aside from that, is the cooling solution. Now the PCB for the Founders Edition card here goes out here, and then there's a V-shaped cutout right here that allows this fan you can see on the other side. So PCB on this card is a strange one, and actually it does have sort of a notch in it right there. And NVIDIA has now revealed that this is not the reference PCB. This is a special PCB that they made just for the Founders Edition cards, and there is a reference design. So what I asked Zotac and ASUS and Gigabyte is, are these reference designs for these cards that were sent over? Zotac has gotten back to me. They said it is a 99% reference design, aside from a module that they added that controls the RGB lighting. So they can't say definitively right out of the gate that this is going to be compatible with the water block designs from like EK and a few other water block designers that are getting blocks made really quickly for that reference design, since I do believe they had access at least to the specifications for that, if not cards to test it with. I have existing emails out to ASUS and Gigabyte asking if these are reference designs for those cards. Gigabyte, is this the reference design? How about the ASUS TUF Gaming? Is this a reference design? Well, hopefully that information helps you guys out. All right, you guys, I really hope you've enjoyed this video. I know it's not the full review experience, but again, I am working with limited time, but give me another week or two. I am really excited to sort of get back into the swing of things, and I have more content coming at you really soon. So hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to my channel if you're not already. Also, don't forget to check out my store at paulshardware.net, where you can buy shirts, mugs, pint glasses, and all other varieties of super sweet merchandise. I'll post links to these cards as soon as I can find them down in the video description, so head down there if you want to see them listed for sale at a major retailer. I do have a build planned that's coming up really soon with this Zotac card in particular, so keep an eye out for that. Thank you very much again, guys, for bearing with me through this bit of transition time, and we'll see you guys in the next video.